Matthew getting a 5-place grid penalty for apparently colliding with Sab. Not really too sure what happened with Matthew there, but well, he's going to be starting 5 places down from where he qualifies. What's it going to be for Wobbly Unit? 18.832. That is the driver, or that is the time that these drivers need to beat. So let's go ahead and spectate one of the Aston Martins. It is going to be Jaipo. Millard has invalidated. That is his qualifying up and done for. Jaipo through the Parabolica corner now, heading up to the line. What can the Aston Martin do? Can they challenge for pole? Wobbly Unit retires from the session, and they do take over pole. 18.7. Track Evolution is definitely coming along right now. We have Dodo in the Sauber coming up to the line. They have validated as well. No improvement for them. And now we have to try and find these drivers finishing lap times. As Liam there doesn't improve, they will stay at P4, as I think that was Shukarek finishes P4, Sab in P5. And we've got a few more drivers. Matthew coming up to the line. Can they challenge for pole? No, they don't. They just miss out, and they don't even get onto the front row. Faced on there in the Williams finishes P9 as well. The Ferrari of Baxi finishes P12. No improvement for them either. And we have the other Alpine there, have gone to the moon, coming across the line, finishes P7. And then we've got the HAAS of FIFA's. They do improve by 10th, and that is enough for pole. 18.7. FIFA's takes over pole. As we go to 5 red lights for the Monza Grand Prix. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go as we head down into turn 1. All drivers getting off the line pretty nicely. FIFA's holds the lead as we head down into turn 1. Wobbly Unit seems to be trying to make a move on the Aston Martin. Round the outside as we go into turn 1. All drivers pretty much going side by side into turn 1. And the Aston Martin goes a little bit wide, and they have a slip, and they drop down to P7. As there's a few more drivers going off there. I think that was an Aston Martin and that was a Ferrari and a Sauber. As we head down into the Della Roggia chicane, I think Spenny's going to try and make a move on the Aston Martin as we go down into the chicane, but I think he just backs out as we go through there. And I think all drivers now taking formation. Is the Aston Martin going to try and make a move down the inside of Faceom? He is on the inside. Faceom leaves him the space. And down the inside into Lesmo 2. The Aston Martin's still there down the inside as he gets that move done pretty nicely. But I think he's now being pushed too wide. This Spenny now try and makes a move on the Williams and gets that done even before the breaking point. But can Faceom fight it back down into the Ascari chicane? Yes, he can. And Faceom gets back up into P8. As I think Gone to the Moon is going to try and make a move on Sab. Actually on both McLarens there. As I think Sab, that was Matthew getting onto the grass. Always Faceom has a snap there. And I think has gone fully round. Or just caught it, but he drops down to P14. Matthew down to P8. As I was praising him for making up so many positions. And he just loses it. Benjo and Matthew now having a swap there as Benjo gets up into P8. Gone to the move, making the move on Shukarek. And also Sab as well. I think Shukarek might have had a spin or something as Arab retires from the session. And that was on track. No safety car by the looks of it, though, as we see Jaipo in the Aston Martin going down the inside of Shukarek. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty decent move there from the Aston Martin down the inside into the Della Roggia chicane. Here we go. FIFA's getting down the inside of Wobbly Unit into turn 1, but Wobbly Unit still trying to keep in front of them, but then goes into none and lets the HAAS go. Smart decision, can recharge the battery from there and then try and go again. Side effects also getting through on Liam there, as I think Baxi trying to make a move on Liam as well, round the outside of turn 2, and I'll tell you what, that was a pretty ambitious move there from Baxi, but he executed it so well. And Dodo also gets through, and Wobbly Unit also gets back into the lead of the race as well, into the Della Roggia chicane. Walker had a much better exit than Millard. They're out of the second Lesmo, and it's going to pull to the outside. And I think he will easily get past on the new Aston Martin TP as well. So Millard has pretty much been all over the place. Oh, as he tries to make a switch back on the Ferrari there and drops a place to Faceom and 2 side effects as well. And hang on, what's going up at this front here? Gone to the Moon, FIFA's and Wobbly Unit all within a tenth of each other. As I think Gone to the Moon is going to try and make a move round the outside of the HAAS. The HAAS will have the inside on Wobbly Unit. As Gone to the Moon tries it around the outside, as I think Wobbly Unit is going to drop many positions here as Sab and Jaipo get into this as well. Jaipo gets into the lead of the race, overtakes 5 cars, I think that was, down the main straight. Somehow Wobbly Unit holds P2. Side by side is Sab and Shukarek. I think Sab gets in front. Yellow flags at the back there. I'm not really too sure what happened. I think Alfie has gone off, I think, as I think Millard has been collected. So has Side Effects. as we still head down into the De La Rocha chicane. Wobbly unit stays in P2, but what is happening at the back? Spenny trying to make a move on Shukarek, I think, but not able to make that move stick. And yeah, Millard and the side effects all the way down here. Haven't even got into the De La Rocha chicane yet, so not really too sure what did happen there. Wobbly unit there trying to make a move on Jaipo down into turn 1. I'll tell you what, Wobbly unit is controlling this race pretty nicely here. He was about to get swallowed up on the previous lap, but manages to just hold off as we see Sab and Spenny go side by side there. I think Sab just getting the move though, and I think Spenny might have hit the gravel there on the outside. But Shukarek is too far back to try and make a move, but Dodo is trying to go side by side with Liam. I think Skywalker and Face Dom as well, also going side by side. Down into the De La Rocha chicane, Skywalker gets in front. As I think Dodo, Liam gets a 3-second penalty. I think Dodo overtook both of them into that corner. So do expect a medium hard strategy around here, I would say. As Sab has tried to hold on to the outside of FIFA's there, and as we go down into turn 1, he gets the move on FIFA's. Can he try and get the move on Gone to the Moon as well, as Jaipo gets into the lead of the race? Gone to the Moon trying to hold it down the inside of the Mercedes. Very close contact for both drivers, leaving just enough room for each driver to get through safely. After I unfortunately made some contact with him, as Sab trying to go down the inside of Gone to the Moon there. Round the outside, gets onto the grass, and that he is going to lose many positions in doing that. Down to P8 he goes. Jaipo gets back into the lead. I think Wobbly unit actually took the lead then, I think, but Jaipo wins it back. Shukarek and Gone to the Moon going side by side there. Shukarek getting the move, and I think Gone to the Moon, or that's FIFA, sorry, on Gone to the Moon. Can he get through there? As I think FIFA's has just been able to hold that, and he does. Oh, a bit of contact though. FIFA's having to cut the second part of the chicane, but as we are about to start lap 11, 17 laps to go, as Koi gets down the inside of Gone to the Moon there, and I'll tell you what, that's a pretty... looked like an easy overtake for Koi, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot harder to do than when you originally think so, as Wobbly unit will get the repass into the lead there, gets back into the lead. Spenny also into P2 as well. Can Koi make any more moves there in the background? And he is going to try to go down the inside of the HAAS of FIFA's around the outside though, and he doesn't have the space to complete it. Sab trying to make a move on Gone to the Moon though. Down the inside into Curva Grande, and gets that absolutely done. Can he also get the pass on Koi as well? He's going to try and look for it down the outside, but then eventually has to back out. Right on board with Spenny to see how easy it is for him to get past on Wobbly unit. Obviously, Wobbly unit's tyres are going to start feeling it. 11 laps into the race. Spenny is going to try and fight this, and look at Benjo down the inside of Wobbly unit. Almost got into the lead of the race, and I think he was actually momentarily into the lead, but only good enough for P2. Wobbly unit in P3. He can still make something of that though. Jaipo though, only in P4 at the moment, but the Mercedes or Shukarek right behind. Jaipo is actually going to try and make a move on the Mercedes, going down into the De La Rocha chicane as he gets up into P3. Still the Mercedes trying to fight this, but then eventually has to back out. And the two Mercedes look like they're going to switch there. Shukarek gets into P4, so Wobbly unit down to P5 now. They might try and do it this lap maybe, lap 11 or lap 12, but no, they elect to carry on. Spenny going around the outside there. Gets into the lead of the race. Can Jaipo do anything though? I don't think he's close enough. Had a slight look for it, but then eventually had to back out. As FIFA's soars down the inside of Gone to the Moon there and gets into P8. Join the team as a commentator or a, graphics design. That is up to you, as we see Benjo and Spenny battle going into turn 1 and turn 2. Benjo getting the move. Can Spenny look for it down the inside though? No, he can't. And to be honest, Wobbly unit does need to pit if he wants to try and make a semi undercut work there, as Jaipo gets into the lead. And we have rain. There is rain at Monza, and I was saying it at the start, but the rain is coming down, and it's going to be a wet Monza as Benjo gets into the lead. Shukarek is going to try and make a move on Jaipo, or is trying to defend a move and eventually gets it done. Jaipo drops down 2 positions. Wobbly unit gets up into P4 as well. And this could be a major turning point. The rain is coming down. Skywalker has already switched to inters. It's way too early for inters, but the rain is falling. And these drivers, if they want a good result, they need to get on it as well, because pretty much no moves really are made in the wet weather conditions. I mean, it's still possible, but most of the time you don't really make moves at a wet Monza, but it's going to spice up the race hugely, and I'm ready for it. As Benjo, I thought, loses 2 positions there to Shukarek as well, but Shukarek stays in P3 at the moment, and you can just see how slidey it is. It might be in the next couple of laps, it might be time for inters. I think at the moment DRS is still enabled, but Benjo is going to try to go down the inside of Spenny there to get back into the lead. Side by side though, on a greasy surface, and this is exactly what sort of racing we want to see. Shukarek is still trying to hold his nose down the inside as well, as Benjo and Shukarek are into the pits. Spenny and Sab stay out. Wobbly Unit gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that is definitely not what he wants, but the 2 Mercedes are going to double stack. Dodo getting a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Matthew. That can get removed. But what did Wobbly Unit do? Is he's going to be held up massively. Actually, he got past on Shukarek. Shukarek was actually the driver that got affected by that. Oh no. That is not what Mercedes needed. Wobbly Unit was the driver that has the 10 seconds, but was served first. That is absolutely not what they wanted. And you can see the rain is falling quite hard now. It is definitely inters, and Wobbly Unit gets a 10-second for cutting the corner. Millard now getting a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and the DRS has now been disabled. So it is definitely inters weather, but what happened on that lap into the pit lane? Not really too sure what happened with Wobbly Unit having to cut the corner though. I think that'll just have to be... I mean, I don't know if he can get it removed, as Liam goes all off the track there into the gravel. He is still on slick tyres, which might have been the cause for it, but he joins safely there, I say, to a certain extent, as much as he could. But he's down to P13, even P14 now. But what happened to Mercedes? They could have won this. As Sam Knott gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Can these drivers not stop for a pit lane? Chipo gone to the moon, is retired, and that causes a virtual safety car. Where has he crashed? Oh, I think he's binned it into the wall. He binned out of Parabolica, I think. Maybe just getting a snap, and that has brought out the virtual safety car. Oh, as Jarpo gets a bit closer to Koi there. Skulker gets a drive-through for speeding under the VSC. But we do go back to green flag running. Lap 18 we're on right now. Koi manages to get the jump on Benjo, but they still remain in P1, P2 and P3 respectively. Spenny now is going to try to go down the inside of Koi into turn 1. Can he try and make a move on Jaipo as well? He's all over the back, diving down the inside, but he doesn't have the grip to brake. Koi then has the repass around the outside, has the inside for turn 3. Or turn 2, sorry. Gets that move, I think, for Spenny, trying to repass it down the inside. Through Curva Grande we go. The Williams still on the outside. But I think Spenny just about holds it very nicely. Stays in P3 at the moment. Wobbly Unit, though, is also trying to make a move on Koi as well. Gets that into P4. Sab now going wheel to wheel with the Mercedes as he's got past that Williams as well. Down the inside, Sab is going to try it into the turn 1 and turn 2 chicane. Just about gets it, but Wobbly Unit holds the outside, gets a slight snap. That allows Sab to get the move, and Koi as well. And Wobbly Unit drops down to P6 now. Pass and repass on the previous lap, as we're going to see Fifas and Alfie go side by side there into the second Lesmo. Somehow they get a through there without any contact, but Fifas drops down to P12 as we head on to the penultimate lap. No moves being made in the top 3. Fifas and Alfie still holding it side by side into Parabolica. Slice snap there by Fifas. Manages to catch it, but Alfie will steam past. But I think with the slipstream, Fifas might be able to get the repass. Side effects also goes for it on the HAAS as well. We'll also try and make the move on the Red Bull as well. Down the inside, going into turn 1. Will they hold it side by side? Yes, they will. But the V-Cub just gets in front, goes a little bit deep though. Can Alfie try and perform a switchback? No, he can't. What about Fifas though? Fifas can't do it, but I think Alfie gets a much better exit and gets the repass on Side Effects. And now Fifas and Side Effects go side by side, but Side Effects stays in front at the moment. Thing is, on the final lap, will Dodo be able to do anything? But as we are on the final lap, let's have a look at these top 3. Who is burning? Spenny is burning, so is Benjo. Can anything be done going down into the De La Rocha chicane. Side by side go Benjo and Spenny. Benjo has to go off the track, gets a 3-second penalty. That will be removed, but he stays in front of the moment. Spenny still in P2. If obviously if that wasn't Benjo's fault, he can get that removed. But into Parabolica, I don't think anything can be done. But Benjo will come across the line to win on track. Whether he can get that removed, I do not know. But he will win on track regardless. But Spenny will then retake it on penalties. And then Jaipur will take P2. Seb will then finish in P4. But with track limits, where does he drop down to? He drops down to P6. Matthew up to P4 with Koyi in P5. Vaxi not able to get the move on Sabin, will stay in P7. Shukarek jumps up to P8 with Dodo in P9. Wobbly Unit finishes P10. And I think Alfie will finish in P11, 22 seconds behind. He isn't going to get anywhere near Wobbly Unit's penalty there. Crosses the line in P11. Side Effects will then finish in P12, but will jump up to P11 with penalties, and so does FIFA's up to P12, but then Skywalker replaces him in P12. FIFA's will then finish in 13th with Alfie in P14. Millard will then come across the line to finish in P15 with Liam in P16, and then Faisal in P17. But what can happen with track limits post-race? That is what we have to wait and see. But that is your current finishing order for the Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix.